Hi folks, this is just a short video I thought I'd record looking at my experience of working with the Pavoni Europiccola and particularly with the Bong Isolator, because I know people have asked me about that a few times, and just to kind of show how I use it really. This is not supposed to be an expert workflow, but it's just how I've kind of developed a workflow in the year I've had the machine. And certainly I know a lot of people have a lot more experience with this than me. But anyway, this is a method that works for me. I quite like it. I find it quite handy because I've got children running around all the time. So temperature surfing and trying to get the pinpoint moment when a Gen 2 Europiccola, this is a 98, is at the right temperature is always a bit tricky. So anyway, I'll take you through what I do, and I hope it's of use to somebody. At the moment, I've just got the machine heated up and haven't done the false pressure release yet. So I'm just going to do that. And get it up to temperature. But one thing you'll notice with the isolator is the temperature isn't anywhere near coming on here. This is cold to touch at the moment, so it's a real difference from where it was before. So just release the false pressure in there. And I like to give it a good amount of time just to release in there as well. One of the things I've started doing actually is just leaving the valve open when the machine heats up, which is a little bit risky, but it does mean that it straight away it clears that false pressure. And as soon as you get that noise and the pressure coming out, I tend to just then shut it off and let it come up fully to boil, and up to pressure I should say. Okay, so we'll leave that a little second just to do that. Okay, so that's just up to temperature now. Normally that's a fairly quick process up to that point, and then what I would do is leave it to heat. But of course, because we've got the isolator on here, the group head is still, you know, it's getting warm, but it's not hot at all really. So what I want to do is just bring this up to about 75-80 degrees on the group head front, just to let it heat through. So what I'm going to do here, in fact, I'm going to check this empty, it is. What I'm going to do here is just make sure the portafilter's in the right place, and then I'm just going to do some dry pumps. So I'm just lifting the lever to just before the point where the water comes out, and then slowly letting that fall again. And we'll do that a few times, and what that's going to do is just push out the kind of water that's still in the group head and replace it with the hot water from the boiler. So that's number 3, and we're just coming up on 70 degrees coming up now. It's number 4, and that's gone to 75. And as it hits number 4 there, what I'm going to do is just let that come all the way up and just add a little bit of water in to warm up the cup and just flush through the portafilter as well. And then normally what I would do at this point is just let that sit for a few minutes. So I've got this on a 20-minute timer just in case I forget it and leave it alone. And normally by the time it gets down to about 10 minutes I'll be pulling. I've had to wait a little bit longer with this one. Apologies, that's a plane going. We live right near the airport. So while that's doing, and while that's just heating through, what I normally do at this point is measure up the beans, which I've done already, and get those ground down. Now these are a brand new bag, so I'm hoping these are at the right grind setting on here, but they're Brighton Lane's espresso blend from Coffee Compass, which I found to be really good actually. I've tried a few of theirs, and this is the one I've found best as kind of an everyday, easy to use coffee, and you usually get pretty good results. So whether you're having that neat or whether you're having that in a milk drink or a longer drink. So we're just going to do about 14.5 grams on here. Okay, so just slightly over there, but that should be about all right. In fact, I don't usually obsess about the weight, but sometimes when I'm dialing beans in, I like to know whether it's because I got the wrong amount in, or whether it's because the grind setting I've used is wrong. So anyway, this is kind of still heating through. You can see the group head actually is now down to about 70 again. So I'm just going to give it one more little dry pump just to bring it up to the temperature I want, and then we'll get going on drying that portafilter. Okay, so there's a couple of little things that I probably do differently here. Than what I was doing when I had a Gadget or a DeLonghi Dedica. And one of them is that I'm putting that shot at a kind of lower temperature. So what I'm looking for, and this is based on some research I think a number of people did and shared for Gen 2 machines, if you're pulling with a group head sticker temperature of about 75, then your water is going to be about the right temperature going through the puck. So I tend to pull at 75 now, and I find it actually gets a really good result. Before I was getting quite bitter shots, and I was putting at 85, so that's made a big difference. So I'm just dosing that there. This was my little frivolous purchase, this, the funnel, but actually I really like it. I got it second hand, somebody was just getting rid of one, so I got it second hand. It's been a really good addition. And then I'm not really sure, honestly, how much difference the WDT, WDT, device distribution technique makes, but it's now just become part of the routine. I find it quite nice. But that's just a little homemade one with a whiskey cork and a set of needles in it, so that seems to work pretty well. And then in terms of tamp, I tend to go with the advice that most people have given on the Facebook group, which is to tamp fairly light, so a single tap on there, and then just using this tamp. This is just an eBay tamper, to be honest. It's not the best, but it does the job. Getting it nice and level, and then just giving it a firm but not too hard press. And I do tend to polish, but I know not everybody does. I don't use a distribution tool. I have to say, I had one originally, and I don't find it makes any difference really. The thing I do have, which I love, is this mesh screen, which I think makes a really big difference to channeling and things. So I'm just going to pop that mesh screen on top there, like that. And then we're just going to make sure this group head is up to the temperature I want it. It's about just between 75 and 80 at the moment. So I'm just going to lift that lever, in goes the portafilter. And then, to be honest, I wouldn't always weigh this, so we might go without weighing today, because I find the amount out is fairly typical. So we are going to time it though. So one thing I will do just before I do this is just make sure there's no more air sort of worked its way through, and I just let a little bit of that out. You get a few bubbles there, you can see, just to let that run through. Temperature again looks fine, so I'm going to go up to the top nice and slowly, and I'm going to time 10 seconds with it there, just to let that percolate into the puck a bit. And then let's try and pull now. Now, like I said, this is a new set of beans, so I'm hoping the pull feels right, and that actually doesn't feel too bad. A nice firm pull, maybe a tiny bit spongy actually. I think in terms of time we'll probably be alright with this. Just going on 25 seconds now of pull. Just arriving at 30 seconds, and that's 30 seconds there. I'm just going to let the last little drops run through there, because that's that wasn't the longest shot in the world. So just let that run through, and then I'm just going to drip cup to catch the rest. And then at this point, if I'm steaming milk, obviously I'll leave it on. If I'm not steaming milk, if I just want to do that, I'll turn this off here, and then let it pull through a little bit. So there we go, there's the shot there, and yeah, that tastes pretty good. That tastes pretty good. So that's a really straightforward method, I think, for getting a shot out of this. One thing I will say, what I quite like to do to get the machine ready for the next use, at this point, if I was pulling another shot, I'd take out this portafilter, I'd knock out the puck, I'd run that under cold water, put it back in, and then within a few minutes you'd have that back down at about 80 degrees. And you'd be ready to go. So by the time you grind your next set of coffee and everything else, got your cup ready, everything's ready to go. So that's one really nice thing about the isolator. When I didn't have the isolator, it was hitting, you know, easily 105, 110 degrees sometimes on the group head, and you have to wait quite a long time to come down, or use water and ice or something like that. So that's really nice here. The other thing I would really recommend, if you've got a pressure gauge, and I do have a pressure gauge, I just haven't put it back on because I was testing some others. One of the things that can really damage those is the negative pressure you get inside. So a simple way to do that, I've got this, just a milk bottle full of water, and so when I'm finished with this, I'll just open up the steam tap and let it run out the pressure. And once the pressure's gone, you can just close the steam tap off again, and you don't have any problems within the boiler. You obviously do have to monitor it while you're doing that. And that's pretty much it. Anyway, I hope that's been useful, and hopefully look forward to your guys' comments on what you do and if you do different things. But there we go, that's how I make a coffee. Cheers.